Let's wrap up this hero section, and we are going to add this image, this little plant to our screen, and that will bring us into the world of absolute positioning. I'm pretty sure we did that in module 1. I want to do it again here. Somehow my designs always bring in some kind of graphic element somewhere on the page which I want to move around. And then we'll also look quickly at the Z index, another thing that you will run into quite often while working in any website and designing it. This is where we are. Now, how you will space it will all depend on where you bring the module onto the page. I don't want to go too deeply into that because this can take us down a huge rabbit hole. But our section currently has 3 rows, and then in each row we have columns, we have double columns, and we have groups inside that. You have to think in terms of which container you want the image to go, and then with our positioning, we're going to move it around with absolute positioning. I decided in the end that I'll go for this quality, the text one. Hover over it, click on the plus, and then we look for image and select the image element. In the options panel on the right, I select my little fern plant, spider plant, not sure which one this is, and it drops it below the quality, exactly what we expect it to do. With the options panel open on the right, go to Advanced, Position, and by default, it is to default. Even if I put it on Relative, you're not really going to see any changes. Relative is kind of your default. Under that, we go for Absolute. One thing I can tell you, that it doesn't matter which page builder you work with. None of them do this 100% the same. How page builders work is that websites are coded in different languages or different kinds of coding. You have HTML, you have CSS, you have JavaScript, and that is the base. And you can learn all of that and then do your own website. Page builders say, you don't have to learn all that. What I'm going to do is give you an interface and you just drag things around. The job of the developer is to take that and bring it to something presentable like this options panel here on the right. You can just click and drag. And that's why each developer may have a different spin on it or even a different concept of how it should work. You have to play around. The offset origin, as you see, as I click here on the up and down, it moves. But when I click at the bottom, it goes up. When I click here in the corners, nothing happens. How this will work will also depend on which container you place it in. I put it back on center. I want you to note below this we have the Z index. Just like with the image positioning, you do not get controls for moving it around when it is placed within center in DV5. To get to any of those controls, you have to click on these side options. Click here in the top right. You can see that it opens up here vertical offset or horizontal offset plus the Z index. And the same for any of the others. As you select them, these options stay open. The moment though that you go to these on the sides in the center, you will see one of them gets removed. We want full control. So choose any of the corners. I will go and put it here. Okay, there. Let me see. No, here, because I want it here on this side. Now with the vertical offset and the horizontal offset open, I'll start with horizontal and I'll drag it to the right. If yours moves in the opposite direction, you just drag the slider in the opposite direction. You can go into a minus and I'll drag it here. Now that I'm here, I actually think I want to move this heading feature of mine a little bit to the left. I'll do that by selecting the column here in the layers panel on the left. Select column, go to design, spacing, and padding on the right, and I'll put that on 10%. Just move it slightly to create a little bit more space here, and it will also make your image feel more balanced. Back to the image, I select the image, go back to advanced, position, and now we move it down. So we did the horizontal, now we're going to do the vertical, so we move it down. Nope, not that side, to this side. And that's good. You can play around with sizing. If you need it smaller, if you need it bigger, you can try around here. Currently, it's at 100%, and that's where I want it to be. With it obscuring quality, what I want to do is bring quality to the front and then have this in the back so that the T and the Y can overlap the leaves. That is done with the Z index. First, I select quality, advanced, and we go to position because that's where we saw the Z index. Give it 2. Select the image, go to Z index, and just type in 1, which is unnecessary because the moment I gave quality 2, it overlapped the image. And that's all we have to do here. How absolute positioning works and how you're going to make it work isn't set in stone. It's something that you can play around with and figure out. I often like to bring in a small little graphic element and just put it somewhere on the page and move it around a little bit. However, a lot of people are against this because when it comes to the breakpoints, which is your tablet and your mobile views, the absolute positioning often gets a little bit weird, very kooky. Definitely go and check on tablet, and you can see now it sits over here. What we'll do for our tablet is we can move it in a little bit like this. I think that also still looks nice. Go to our phone. We bring it in, but maybe we can consider making it smaller as well. Select design, sizing, and drop it down to 80%. Back to advanced, position, horizontal offset, move it a bit to the right and move it down. Drag the handlebars into 360 because I think that will give us a good idea of whether we've achieved something. I won't bring it in further because I think once we bring it in further, the legibility of our heading text and this subtitle heading here, a little touch of madness there on the right. Back to desktop. And that's what we've done. Our hero section comes to an end, and in the next section, we will start looking at fonts. I want to wrap up with just a comment, and that is again based on variables. I've really been thinking about this concept of variables. My personal opinion is that website builders are making it a tad too complicated for what it is. That is a lengthy discussion and a debate that can go on forever and ever. Before I go off here on a road that has got nothing to do with this module, what I want to say is, if you think that this variable manager, let me close the layers here with the colors, if you think this is too complicated for you to set up the primary colors, and especially if you open this generate color palette, you're like, whoa, nah, and you feel like quitting, my advice is just ignore all of this. Especially if you are making a one-pager website and you prefer to every time select your module, you go to design and you change the color or you change the font, you change everything here. You don't use presets and you don't use variables. Guess what? You're going to make a perfect website. As simple as that. Do not let people tell you this is the way you must do it. Especially me. If you hear me say it, this is the way, just remember, it means there's another way as well. I often like to speed up things, but I also feel I fall often into that trap of the new blingity-bling things that come into the market and make me want to use it. And then when you get to the color generator, you're like, wait a minute, why do I need all these colors? It's just going to mess up my website, and I already have my colors. Especially if I have a logo, then the colors are set. No need for you to go and try and figure this out. No need for you to go and learn color theory. No need for you to understand what is a color palette or what is shades or tints or tones. Stick to the easy stuff. Keep it straight and keep it simple. I'll say that maybe 2 or 3 times more during Module 2 because Divi 5 introduces all of these amazing, I don't want to say advanced, I call them lateral concepts. And what I mean by that is I can do something this way by choosing my text element and changing the colors and the size. The lateral means that, okay, I can now go ahead and create a preset for that, like we did in Module 1, and we will do it in the next chapter. Or I can go ahead and create variable numbers and then add those numbers. They are different ways of doing the same thing. And what's going to be the determining factor which one you use is 1, how big is your website? 2, how complex is your website? And then 3, how much time, which is actually the most important one, are you prepared to invest in learning that? If you are a newcomer to the world of websites, maybe you will do one and maybe you will do the second one, learning presets. But don't go and waste your time on numbers and variables if you're creating a one-pager or one website for your entire life. Just don't. I'll still show you how it works, but my advice to you is keep it straight and keep it simple. Okay, enough of that. Let's build out more. Less talky and more doey.